Paul Dellaquila is back with us here on the program to talk about the fund FIVG. He's the president of Defiance ETFs. So Paul, thanks for coming back and give us the update here, because I know some of these companies are doing really well in the bounce back. Companies like Analog Devices, which hit an all-time high just the past week.
That's correct, Oliver, and thank you for having me back on the program. I think now more than ever, companies are looking at a lot of different things, and infrastructure for how their people are going to be able to connect is one of the bigger things. So if you think about just where we are from COVID, you're thinking about this new work from home type of situation that we're pretty much all in. 5G is going to be becoming a bigger part of this. CEOs are now looking at corporate real estate and saying, do we need all of our employees here 5 days a week, 8 to 10 hours a day? I think most are saying we probably don't. So this remote connectivity is going to become a bigger and bigger part of the corporate infrastructure. So
was the need for 5G as pushed forward as some of the teleconferencing and other work from home initiatives? I mean, is that like the first order, and then 5G is kind of like the second order effect?
Yeah, so I think that's exactly right, Oliver. You're seeing everybody's on a Zoom call, or what we're doing right now, connecting remote, doing interviews. And I think the reality is, if you have Wi-Fi, pretty much everybody can work remotely. There are certain parts of the country, though, even in the United States, that still don't have high-speed internet access because of how much it costs to dig fiber. It's much cheaper to place an antenna and have that 5G connectivity happening for you. Just 2 weeks ago, we had a bad storm that rolled through here. Our power was out for 5 days. All of a sudden, work from home for all the people in my neighborhood and neighboring areas became a very big challenge, because cell phone calls couldn't happen. Forget about getting on a website, and even taking email and getting your email downloaded took 10 minutes. So it was something that you see in certain areas that's still going to be a challenge because they don't have the high-speed internet connectivity. So if we're truly going to move to this world of remote, 5G is going to be playing a critical role in all that.
What right now have the companies said about the spending? Is the market just kind of running with an assumption here, or do we have hard numbers to back it that the build-out is still going to happen at a pace that we thought pre-virus?
Yep. So right now, AT&T has it out in about 100 cities. Verizon's around 30, and they're going to be having more speed into that. So there's going to be more antenna, there's going to be more connectivity that's happening within those cities. But right now, I think you are actually seeing companies look to earning reports and saying we are actually seeing a 5G lift. So a couple of the names that have seen that in our portfolio: Nokia, Ericsson, a company like Crown Castle and American Tower that are doing the infrastructure plays. They're actually seeing real revenue sources coming from this 5G build out. So it's a pretty exciting time. And yes, this is not going to be just a 2020 initiative. You're going to see this happen over coming years, 2021, 2022. So I think it's a multi-year story and not just a year fad.
Okay. Right now, do consumers have the ability to pay for it, or do they need to? What is the pricing dynamic looking like for 5G as it rolls out?
And that's where I think with the traditional telcos like Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, this will initially be a premium offering for people. So you're going to have to pay a little more for that access. Do you absolutely need it just yet? I wouldn't say so, but I do think as more of this is happening, remote connectivity, Zoom conference calls, working from home, 5G is going to be playing a more critical role. And essentially what you're looking at with 5G is the potential to eliminate even your Wi-Fi connection, because 5G is going to be able to source data, pull data at a much higher rate than what you can on a traditional 4G LTE network.
Paul, remind me how you decide the weightings for the companies in your fund. Ericsson looks like the highest weighting, Nokia behind it, Qualcomm and Analog right behind that. You've got semiconductors in there that folks will recognize, in Xilinx, as well as Akamai on the video and the infrastructure side. So how do you decide how important to this entire thing?
Yep. So we have basically four buckets. We have something called core equipment, which is going to be where Xilinx, Nokia, and Ericsson live. So think about radio access equipment. Think about high-end routers. The companies are actually building a lot of the infrastructure. We have another second bucket that is going to be mobile network operators and the infrastructure plays like Crown Castle, as well as the REITs like American Tower. And then you have a third bucket that's going to be network connectivity. Think about a Cisco Systems, and a fourth bucket that's going to be the actual chip providers. A Qualcomm, for instance, is actually enhanced mobile broadband bucket. And the important thing that I think, especially with thematic ETFs, we don't want any one or two names dominating the overall portfolio. So at each rebalance, which is coming up in June and as well as December for us, we actually cap the max exposure in any one name to 5%. So that way investors are getting a very diversified exposure, and they're also going to have the benefit of getting exposure to some of those smaller cap companies that might be under-owned in the context of a portfolio for investors.
Okay, and how often are you changing those weightings? Will you rebalance after earnings? Is this a quarterly thing based on what companies tell you?
So it's actually semi-annual. So we have one coming up here in late June, as well as December. So we look at it on a semi-annual basis.
Okay, all right, we'll check it out later on this month and see what's new, what shifts around. 5G, FIVG, the fund just back to a high this month. Paul Dellaquila joining us from Defiance ETFs. Thanks, Paul.